Hey everyone, it's FLAK Fire. Battlefield has a history of predicting things, from the destruction of a space telescope in Puerto Rico to the sinking of a very specific floating restaurant. DICE seem to have a direct line to someone in the future. I covered those and more in a previous video. If you haven't seen it, you'll find the link in the video description. But today, I'm going to cover 3 more times Battlefield successfully predicted the future, and I'll even throw in a bonus. I'll give you a heads up here that unlike the last video, this one is sort of the darker timeline version, and while the previous video was rather lighthearted, I'm not going to pull any punches with some of the infamous events here. To start, one of Battlefield 4's most interesting maps is called Flood Zone. It's set in the Chinese city of Chongqing and features a destructible levee. When the levee is destroyed, the following Levolution event floods the city, creating unique opportunities for naval and amphibious combat while fighting rages on nearby rooftops. It's a very dynamic map with a lot of verticality, and it is somewhat of a fan favorite. However, in August 2020, the same year Flood Zone is set in Battlefield 4, eerily similar photos started filtering out of China. In Chongqing, the nearby Yangtze River apparently spilled over its banks after significant rainfall, inundating the same part of the city portrayed in Battlefield 4. Flooding in the region displaced thousands of people and unfortunately left hundreds dead. On the positive side, the flood has been described as a, quote, once-in-a-century event, and flood management continues to be a priority for China, so hopefully it will be the last time such intense flooding occurs. Next are some of the darkest events in recent memory for France, what have become known as the November 2015 Paris attacks. Beginning the night of November 13th, Islamic terrorists attacked several locations, including a football game, a concert venue, and busy cafes. The attacks killed 130 civilians. In the plot of Battlefield 3, the player attempts to stop a terrorist attack in Paris, France, which also happens to be on November 13th, though in the game it's set a year earlier in 2014. It involves a shootout on the streets of Paris, but that is where the similarities end. In Battlefield 3, terrorists detonate a suitcase nuke at the Euronext stock exchange. However, the Paris attacks remain a strange coincidence and hopefully one that will never be repeated. For number 3, we're going to go for something more lighthearted. In Battlefield 2042, you're probably familiar with the M5A3. According to the game's lore, it's been the US military's standard issue rifle since 2034 and can be chambered in a variety of rounds. You also might be aware it's based on the Sig Sauer XM5, which is itself a derivative of the MCX Spear. That gun was the winner of the US military's Next Generation Squad Weapons program, which wrapped up only in April 2022, several months after the launch of Battlefield 2042. The program lasted 27 months and featured several competing weapons. Sig Sauer's contract runs for 10 years, with the XM5 replacing the M4 and M4A1 carbine within the close combat force. It might not be standard issue just yet, but DICE's prediction is impressive given how many times such weapon programs have failed. Lastly, I mentioned a bonus example. We're seeing many things showcased in Battlefield games happening in Ukraine right now, from downing helicopters with anti-tank missiles to the use of drones equipped with explosives. What was once seen as outlandish creativity in video games has actually found practical applications on the real battlefield. Similarly, one of the major plot points of Battlefield 2042 is being illustrated in plain sight. The idea of Notepads, these non-patrioted mercenaries in a proxy war, is essentially what's transpiring inside of Ukraine. From the Wagner Group and Little Green Men in the early days to Ukraine's International Legion, both sides have employed fighters from across the globe, all with a myriad of reasons for fighting. As in Battlefield 2042, both US and Russia are equipping forces vying for control of the country. Toss in world instability, shortages, and environmental disasters, and I'm already closer to Battlefield 2042's dystopian future than I ever want to be. I am curious what you make about all of these coincidences. Again, if you haven't seen the previous video, make sure to go check that out. You'll find a link to that in the video description. But what do you think about what we talked about here today? Leave me a comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe, tap the bell to get updates on the latest Battlefield videos, and if you want to support the channel, keep your money, share this video, or check out some of our sponsors. And as always, thanks for watching.